this. Comment below with your thoughts. Your engagement helps this conversation reach more people. The controversy began when General Muhoozi Kainerugaba, Uganda's Chief of Defense Forces and son of President Yoweri Museveni, posted a message on X accusing the U.S. Embassy in Kampala of hiding opposition leader Bobi Wine. The accusation was explosive. Coming from the commander of the armed forces of a key American ally, it immediately raised alarms. Even more dramatically, the general announced that Uganda was breaking ties with the United States. For a country that relies heavily on U.S. military cooperation, this was no small declaration. Then came the reversal. Barely an hour later, General Muhoozi deleted the post and issued an apology. He claimed he had been fed incorrect information, praised Washington as a great friend of Uganda, and insisted that relations would continue as normal. But in diplomacy, timing matters, and so does credibility. The apology failed to calm the storm. In Washington, the reaction was sharp and unforgiving. U.S. Senator Jim Risch, the Republican chairman of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, publicly rejected the apology. In a strongly worded statement, he said the army chief had crossed a red line and that the United States must now reassess its security partnership with Uganda. He warned that sanctions and reduced military cooperation were now on the table. His message was clear. Someone who is both the president's son and a likely successor cannot simply delete tweets and issue hollow apologies after making reckless claims that put American personnel, U.S. interests, and innocent lives at risk. This was not the first time Senator Risch had raised concerns about Uganda. Just weeks earlier, he had sharply criticized the country's recent elections, comparing them to controversial polls in Tanzania. He described Uganda's vote as a hollow exercise designed to legitimize President Museveni's 7th term and nearly 4 decades in power. According to him, Uganda's ruling system prioritizes domestic control through political violence, abductions, intimidation, and the misuse of state resources. He even accused Uganda of exporting instability to the region and urged the Trump administration to reconsider its security relationship with Kampala. The stakes are high because Uganda is not just any partner. It plays a central role in regional security, particularly through its military deployments and cooperation in East Africa. American support provides training, intelligence sharing, and resources that strengthen Uganda's armed forces and influence. To risk that relationship over provocative online statements is widely seen as reckless. At the heart of this crisis is General Muhoozi's long history of incendiary social media behavior. X has effectively become his political battleground, a place where he issues threats, insults opponents, and later deletes or retracts statements. His main target has been Bobi Wine, the opposition leader who challenged President Museveni in the most recent elections. After Museveni was declared the winner, Wine reportedly escaped a military raid at his home and went into hiding. Since then, the army chief's attacks have intensified. In some of his most alarming posts, General Muhoozi described members of Wine's party as terrorists, claimed that dozens had been killed, and suggested that Wine himself would be next. He issued a 48-hour ultimatum, warning that if Wine did not surrender, he would be treated as an outlaw or rebel. These statements shocked many observers, especially given that Ugandan law prohibits serving military officers from engaging in partisan politics. Critics argue that such language from the head of the military blurs the line between state security and political persecution. The situation escalated further when another raid was reportedly conducted at Bobi Wine's home, during which his wife was allegedly assaulted and threatened. Even while in hiding, Wine has continued to taunt the army chief online, repeatedly challenging him with messages like, "Catch me if you can." His exact whereabouts remain unknown, adding another layer of tension to an already volatile situation. Driven by frustration and impatience, General Muhoozi's verbal attacks eventually extended beyond domestic opponents to the United States itself. That move, more than anything else, appears to have hardened Washington's stance. Despite the apology, American officials have made it clear they are not prepared to simply move on. For them, this is about accountability and stability. A military partner whose top commander makes impulsive accusations and policy declarations online is seen as a serious risk. As things stand, no sanctions have yet been imposed, but the warning from Washington is unmistakable. Uganda's actions are now under close scrutiny, and future cooperation will depend on demonstrated restraint and responsible leadership. The Trump administration faces a difficult decision, whether to maintain strategic ties despite growing concerns, or to send a strong signal that reckless behavior at the highest levels will carry consequences. This episode highlights a deeper truth about modern leadership. In an age of instant communication, those in power must understand that their words can shake nations. A general's tweet is not casual speech. It can destabilize alliances, threaten security, and damage trust built over decades. Once that trust is shaken, rebuilding it takes far more than a quick apology. Uganda now stands at a critical crossroads. The choices made in the coming days will shape not only its relationship with the United States, but also how the world views its political and military leadership.